Good day. Welcome to the channel of SA Accounting Network. Today I want to talk to you guys about financing and the possible ways or things that you can consider while you're busy going through this COVID-19 or the coronavirus epidemic at the moment. So please like this video, subscribe to my channel as well, so that as I get more news or more information that I can share with you guys, then you can stay up to date with the latest developments. So over the past week or so, I've had many inquiries from a lot of my clients, and I spoke to many other accountants as well who are sitting with the same predicament about stuff that was said out in the media and different things that people are trying at the moment to access finance, because I remember the president said about the 2 billion rand that is available for small businesses out there. So I'm going to talk about that now, about what the information we have on file at the moment or that we have available to us at the moment. But just one or two things that I just want to mention as well that might be worth investigating as well. Point number one is credit insurance. I know quite often when you have credit cards or debt or those type of things, one of the things that they actually include when you sign up for that contract or for that credit is to have credit insurance. And one of the things that they quite often include in those type of things is in a situation where you have to stop working for a certain period of time, where quite often those policies, or there will be a clause in there where they will actually cover your premium. So before you go running to the bank to ask for debt holidays and those type of things, maybe just have a look at that, because it might be worth pursuing that with your bankers as well. The second thing is business interruption policies as well. So if you do have a business, it might be worth just looking at your business policies as well, just to see whether there is anything in there for business interruption. So normally those type of policies will cover if there's a disaster. Let's say for instance your shop burns down and you can't trade for 6 months, and normally those type of claims would cover you for that period over there. So there might be a possibility that your business insurance policy, there might be something in there as well. Other things to consider as well, especially during this time, I think equity is really important. So you need to follow up with your customers. If people owe you money, you need to try and get that money in as fast as possible, because equity, I think, is going to be the key, and you must have enough funds available to be able to carry you for at least about 90 days. The next thing is, if you look at credit as well, it might be worth it to contact the bank to see if they can't give you maybe a loan over this period, or even an overdraft, or maybe an increase in your credit cards. At least you have some funds available for the period that's coming up as well. And then obviously I mentioned it just now as well, it's about payment holidays. So I know that there was only a very select few people who could qualify for payment holidays. They were talking about small businesses with Standard Bank, and they were talking about students. But I always recommend to my customers that if for some reason you see that you're not going to be able to make your bond payments, then contact the bank before they contact you, and just send them an email, try and phone the people, even with your vehicle repayments, so you can just make arrangements before the time, because quite often if you approach them, then they will be considerate to look at that application. But if you just go and not pay your bond or not pay your vehicles, that's when you're going to start running into trouble. So that is also something that I can recommend. Something I released a video a bit earlier about receiver of revenue. One possibility as well, which is not always a good idea, is to maybe keep some of your taxes back for a period, but that is not advisable. I would think that you have to use that as a last resort. And then the thing that I actually want to talk about today is about the loans. So let me head onto my computer, then I will show you what I know so far. So if you look at this document over here, is a document that they brought out, the Department of Small Business Development, CEDA and CIFA. So here they talk about the COVID-19 SMME Emergency Funding Package, and this document was issued the 23rd of March. So you can see that according to this emergency funding, they're talking about 3 different loans that you can apply for, different ways of funding. So what's really important that you must remember that all 3 of these are loans. So it's not a matter of you just fill in a little form online, submit it, and all of a sudden they're going to give you 50,000, 100,000 rand. These are loans. They're quite strict about the application process and the repayment terms as well. They're quite strict about that, but we're going to look at that now. So the first one is what they call a business growth facility. The second one is a SMME Relief Finance, and the third one is restructuring of CIFA funded SMMEs. So you can see the first one where they talk about business growth facility. So this facility will fund the following: the production and the supply of healthcare and related products that will be utilized to combat the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. So if you fall inside this category, where you're making masks or gloves, or you're building respirators or anything like that, and those type of stuff, anything that relates to medical stuff that you can use to combat this pandemic, this is when the first type of loan will apply to you. So I think most smaller type of businesses wouldn't classify under part number 1 under the growth facility. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. The second one is where they talk about the SMME Relief Finance. So this is something that might be relevant to small and medium businesses. They say this facility will fund the following. It's a soft loan funding that will keep the existing business afloat during the COVID-19 pandemic for a period of 6 months from April 2020. So that makes sense. The rationale of the facility. So the majority of SMMEs will experience severe reduction in demand and subsequent reduction in revenues due to the COVID-19 pandemic. As a result, it is important to ensure that SMMEs do not close down completely and that they are supported with working capital to ensure that jobs are retained in the economy. So I think the second type of loan is the type of loan that sounds right if you start looking at it, what the reason why they want to give the people the loans is to be able to make sure that you retain jobs. So that is the pure motive behind this loan. So now you can see over here the funding terms. The facility will offer working capital only, strictly direct cost, which should be auditable. So it's not a matter that they're going to give you money and now you can go put your card into the ATM and withdraw it and go do something else with the money. So if they give you money, they want to make sure that you're using the money for the purpose that they gave it to you. And they say a maximum of 500,000 Rand per SMME will be considered depending on the requirements. So it's not to say that you are going to get 500,000 Rand loan. So they will see what your requirements are. Then based on obviously the amount of money that's available inside the pot and the amount of people, they will then split it up according to how they see fit. The number C, the term of the funding will be determined by the cash flow of the business. So we'll talk about that now. And the loan facilities will be at an interest rate of prime less 5%. It must be emphasized that the business needs to be assessed thoroughly to ensure that the fund is not used for what is not intended for, as any misuse is totally prohibited. So you can see that these loans, they're not just going to hand it out left, right and center. They can be very strict when it comes to the administration of these loans. Here you can see the qualifying criteria. They said businesses which are negatively affected due to coronavirus pandemic. So you must be able to give them physical proof of how your business was negatively affected. So it doesn't mean that if you do the application today, that tomorrow you can have the money. You first can have to prove to these guys that your business was negatively affected by the pandemic. Second one, they said the company must be 100% owned by South African citizens. So that's fine. One question that we were talking about is if you've got bigger type of business structures where one business owns another business, what are they going to do in a situation like that? We haven't had feedback on that yet, but it's an interesting point to raise. Now, point number C, there was a lot of controversy in the news about this. A company must be 51% black owned. Subsequent documents that came out said that point number C was scrapped, but it's just a matter of time whether we're going to see whether they're actually going to implement that. Number D, they say the employees must be 70% South African. So if you only have foreigners working for you, or if you've got 50% foreign nationals working for you, then you're out the bus, then you would not qualify for this loan. And now they say your priority will be given to businesses owned by women, youth, and people with disabilities. So normal people would probably be last in the queue to receive funds from them. So obviously first going to look women, youth, and people with disabilities. Next point over there, they must be registered and compliant with SARS. So as soon as you have anything outstanding at the receiver of revenue, whether it's a company tax return, a provisional tax return, any money that's outstanding, you're out the bus, you cannot qualify. And you see that number G, they say be UIF compliant. So your UIF as well must be 100% compliant before they would even consider your loan application. Now you can see point H. And this is that messages that's been going around that where everybody just said, no, just fill in this little questionnaire. As soon as you submit this, the money will be flowing your way. So here they say the registration on the National SMME database. So you need to go to smmesa.gov.za, fill in a questionnaire. There's quite a straightforward questionnaire, and as far as I know, I think they said that the next step of the process is opening on the 2nd of April, where we will get additional information of what it is, how the rest of the application will work. You can see over here the funding requirements. So over here, once again, point number A, prove that the business is negatively affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Complete the simplified online application form, which is the link we talked about now. They want a copy of the company's statutory documents, the FICA documents, certified IDs, copies of the directors. They want to look asking for 6 months bank statements. Now here's the tricky thing, the latest annual financial statements or latest management accounts not older than 3 months from the date of application. So if you want to apply for your for this loan now, it means that you would have to complete your 2020 financial statement in order to qualify for this loan. So if you've got a real outstanding financial statements, even 2019 financial statements are going to be too old. So you're first going to have to get your financial statements up to date, and then only once that is up to date, then you can start with this application process. You can see this statement of financial performance and statement of financial position where applicable. They're talking about the business profile. Normally a business profile would be something like a business plan, where you need to give them an idea or just a broad breakdown of what your business actually do, what how you operate, and who your customers are, and those type of things. So normally the business plan is also quite a lengthy document that you need to complete. You can see under point number A, they're talking about 12 months cash flow projections with clear assumptions where applicable. So there's what you need to make a cash flow projection over the next 12 months of what you think your business is going to do. So so that is in itself is quite a big project to work on. A copy of lease agreement or proof of ownership if you own property or vehicles. Faculty statements and other funders, that's not applicable. Detailed breakdown of application of funds, including salaries, rent, etc. So they want to see in detail what you're going to be doing with the funds once you receive it. And they say the CIF application process. So SMMEs submit the application through that website that we talked about. The registration number and supporting documents to the dedicated CIFA email address. And once you have all the documents in place, then you can email it through to that one over there. And then point number 2, they say there's a national team reviews application for completeness. CIFA call center, and CIFA performs the verification. So that is the step that you need to take if you want to apply for the SMME Relief Finance. You can see the third one is the third type of loan that we were talking about, and that is just restructuring of funded SMME. So if you at the moment you've got a CIFA funded SMME, so if you've got a loan with CIFA, what this thing says is basically just going to give you a chance to restructure your loan. So obviously they're going to see if they can give you reduced interest rates. So just looking at this document, unfortunately for small businesses, I don't think for the plumber, the electrician, small type of businesses, I don't think this is going to work. You can try, but there you can see, as you can see, there's a lot of documents that you have to have in place. If you ask an accountant to do the application on your behalf, I cannot see that this, to get all these documents in place, is going to take less than at least about 8 hours worth of work. So you can do it if you're sure you're going to get the finance, but if you're not 100% sure, then this exercise is going to cost you a lot of money, and the chances are that you're not going to get any finance from them. If you guys do have any further questions, please put it in the comments below. Remember to like the video and subscribe to my channel, so that if I get any newer information out, then I can share it with you guys as well. Thanks for watching.